Untold. Happy America Day, even though America sucks. 4th of July 2026.
He's a shark. So today's episode is Everyone Has an Untold Story. And so we're going to kind of talk to you today about what we think that means and how we think that affects us. I didn't mean to say so that's going to happen more often than I would like for it to. What does the word untold mean to you? Jace?
So for me, I think something I always think about is like untold stories aren't necessarily stories that haven't been told to somebody else, but like everybody has a story, everybody has a background. There's more. People are like ogres and onions. There are layers. You can get deep down, and sometimes it's really stinky and rotten in the middle, but sometimes it's delicious. Right? Depends on what it is.
Oh, so you like onions?
No, I hate onions. They're disgusting. Oh. Ogres, on the other hand, are amazing. If you squeeze out their eyeball jelly, it's delicious on toast. Anyway.
That's enough from you.
I told you I'm a chaos gremlin.
Stop saying that! You're so cringy.
I know, and it's awesome. All right, Sharky.
Anyway, for me, or go.
No, you go ahead.
For me, the microphone. I don't know if you can hear that. If you do, I'm sorry. It means that it's something that people view as a topic that shouldn't be discussed in public or in, situations in general.
So when I think of untold, I think of them as secrets we struggle to tell, but that kill us to keep. They are the unspoken things that we try to hide, but peek through. So by that, I guess I mean where we had this fear of abandonment, so we hold on to things that we shouldn't hold on to. We may recognize that we have this fear. We may recognize where it comes from, but because we don't want to talk about it, all we are willing to show is that we need things that we don't really need. So that's my thought behind it. So what makes you guys think people, why English?
Great job.
Why do you think people keep their stories hidden?
Today's society kind of shames topics that are viewed as, how do I say this, like topics that people struggle with, I guess, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying. And I think that people just take on the idea that, if I've struggled with it, then I shouldn't let people know, because everyone wants to be seen as perfect, even though we all know nobody's perfect. Though Jamisha is perfect.
For me, there are kind of two parts of this. I'll go with the first one, is just the being raised as a traditional male role. Sorry, words are hard for all of us today, apparently. I was always told to not be a burden. So, yeah, I know this guy, right?
Get a load of this guy.
But like anytime you have a problem, you need to just go off somewhere and take care of the problem and not be a burden on somebody else. So I learned to either solve my problems by myself or ignore them and not let anybody else see them, because that's kind of the way you don't be a burden, because that's what I was raised to not be. But the other side of that is a lot of stories when I was a kid were untold because you were afraid of being ostracized. So everybody wanted to fit in. They wanted to be the cool kids, the jocks, yada, yada, yada. And like in the last episode, I talked about how I let kids give me hope, because kids nowadays, especially after the pandemic, are much more open to being more authentic or a little bit weird or unique or different, and being more themselves in a way that I never saw anybody act that way when I was a kid. And like that to me is just like, whoa, my God. Like,
This guy must
you have a
hate me.
16-year-old kid in a shark onesie, and they're comfortable with it. I'm like, wow, that's freaking awesome. Like, and so, like, that's one of those things that, like, for me, that was always, for everybody in my generation, your unique you was Untold, because you couldn't be unique. You had to be some part of a group or a clique, or else you got bullied and picked on and shoved in lockers and other random places, and it was just not a pretty picture. So yeah,
Random places.
dude,
The various nooks and crannies.
some of the stuff that happened in my high school was, whew, bad mojo.
So for me, I think it's fear of judgment. I know that growing up in a very traditionally black household, kids weren't allowed to speak on certain things. We were told to stay out of grown folks' place. We were told to what happens in the household stays in the household. And so when you kind of hear things going on like that, you normalize what's going on in your household, because at that point you think everyone's doing it because you're not allowed to talk about it. And then as you get older and you realize, like, hey, when friends recount their stories, when you hear other people's recount their stories, it looks different than yours. Then it's well, if I say it, how are people going to look at me? Like, how are they going to perceive? That's not how I grew up. We were talking about something earlier where it was we just recently celebrated Viz's 16th birthday. And I remember asking everybody, like, hey, Jason, what was your 16th birthday like? And our stories are so drastically different. But again, you wouldn't know that it's not normal because you wouldn't talk about it. So I think that's kind of how that works, where we hide things because there's so much judgment in today's world.
So like, and just kind of like, just to like that whole Untold story, different things. Like, Viz and I both are very nonchalant about our birthdays. We did not have good birthdays growing up, and our reaction, or at least I'll say my reaction, and from what I've seen yours, is to be very, yeah, it's cool, whatever. If you tell me happy birthday, I'm happy. That's right. And Jamisha, like, for her, like, every special occasion, she wants to make sure it is. If you are special to her, every special occasion, she wants it to be special and unique for you, and she goes above and beyond in amazing ways. And it's awesome, but like, I feel really bad sometimes, not because she doesn't make my birthdays or special occasions awesome, but because I don't react with the, I might be like, oh, that's so awesome, and outside I'm like, that's cool, I really love it. And like, I don't have that in it. Like, believe it or not, as big of a 5-year-old as I am. It's really hard for me. Like, oh my God, that's so cool! Wow. That's just not my personality. So, yeah. Anyway,
Just want to say he kicked his little feet up when he did that bit. Wow.
yeah.
So for me, it's one of my fondest memories of growing up in our household was our birthdays. So, like, I remember birthday parties in the backyard, and I remember birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese. My parents had a tradition that on our birthdays we got to pick our dinner. So for a kid like me, way back in the 80s, Sizzlers was the place to go. I loved Sizzlers because it was a whole buffet of food that I could choose. And then after that, I was like El Torito's, which is a Mexican food place. Mexican food's my favorite food. But like, we always got to pick with my aunt. She asked us what kind of cake we wanted. We probably should have recognized back then I had OCD. Every year for my birthday cake, I picked lemon cake with lemon frosting. Those were the traditions that I grew up with. Like, your birthday was special. When we were younger, our parents used to buy us presents and wrap them up. As we got older, they would take us to the store and say, okay, pick your birthday present. So it was always a big deal in my household. We were always excited and look forward to it. Same with Christmas. So it is very odd being in a household where they're just kind of like, yeah, it's another day. Well, no, it's not another day. It's your birthday. Like, I was up at midnight knocking on Viz's door like, bro, it's your birthday. This was dead asleep.
I used
Dead asleep. Dead as a doorknob.
Hey.
Day of Jason's birthday. Like, I laid in bed at midnight. I flipped over and was like, happy birthday.
No. Not only she didn't lay in bed until midnight. She laid in bed for like an hour and a half, keeping herself and me awake, just so she could roll over at midnight to say happy birthday. And then like 2 minutes later, rolled over and was snoring. Out like a light. Oh no. Bye, person. Pause.
For me, okay then. Anyways, whatever the fuck that was. I guess I'm nonchalant about my birthday because I grew up in a household where it wasn't, my dad tried to make it special, and, the same thing with picking your dinner. Every single year I picked the same thing. I had options at some point, but I always pick shrimp scampi. It's my birthday dinner, and I don't eat it any other day of the year. Usually, it's just my birthday dinner. And I, my dad would always try and make it special, but I guess when I hit 10 years old, that day was the worst. One of the worst days of my life. At that point, it was the worst day of my life. It was the day that I expected not to live past. And when I was 12, my dad forgot my birthday, and I got yelled at for acting depressed and Dairy Queen. And, I guess my birthday has always been something that I wanted to feel like I should experience it, and it should be amazing. But, people never showed up to my birthday parties, or, my dad forgot, or everyone forgot. I mean, not today, multiple times, every single year, it's just, oh, it's my birthday. Out of nowhere, I'll forget, and I'll be like, oh, wait, it's my birthday.
Literally forgotten my own birthday before.
I'll wake up and I'll get, a text from someone, oh my gosh, happy birthday. Oh, yeah.
Would you say that was your birthday this year?
My birthday this year was very special. I got a lot of things that I really loved getting as gifts. I got a cutout of Gerard Way. I got 2. There's a small one. I'll introduce him at some point. Trust me, guys. But, we went out and we got lunch at this ramen place, and it was great, and I got multiple gifts, and I was made to feel like, I actually was special, and it was wonderful. And even then, throughout the day, I just kept going, I forget it's my birthday, and then Jamisha will be like, happy birthday, or my boyfriend will text me and be like, happy birthday, and I'm just like, thanks guys, I forgot. But I try to be enthusiastic about things, when I got my gifts. I was very happy, but just like Jason, it's as much as I'm very, silly, goofy, whatever, obviously, it was I felt so happy that I got these things, but then I was just like, oh my gosh, thanks, instead of, oh my gosh, yay!
You forgot to do the foot thing.
Yay! But when I saw Gerard Way in my living room, and mini Gerard Way in my living room, I was more enthusiastic about that than anything, because he's literally me, guys.
So for me, I love giving presents. I love buying things for people. Shut up. I love getting people things. And that's because, for me, I get to show them how much they are seen. So it's not just the whole, oh my gosh, I worked at a mental hospital, and I would get girls that were like, oh, we need shampoo. And so for them, the thought was that I was going to go buy some cheap-ass shampoo and give it to them. And I'm like, nope, we're buying nice sets of shampoo and conditioner, and the whole unit's getting it. It was hey, what do you want for your birthday? I don't know. What do you want for your birthday? I don't know. This looks cool. That looks cool. And every time he said something looked cool, I just put it in my cart. And then he made a joke at some point. I'm like, what do you want? I don't know. Unless it's a life-size Gerard Way. And I'm like, okay, bet. And then put it in my cart. And then impatiently waited for my mail to come. It was supposed to be delivered on the 3rd. Got here on the 2nd. And I was like, I can't hide it. I was excited enough for the both of us. So whether he was excited about his gifts, I was excited to give them. And because that's how my brain works. My brain says, that is my time to show you that it's about the things that you sneak into conversations that I see you, than it's a like, oh, I made you a list and like, here, this is what I want. Not that that's not important. I would have gotten him stuff off his list too. But it's in the everyday conversations where you hear somebody who says like, oh, this would be kind of cool, and then they don't talk about it again, and then it comes up and you're like, you heard me? Like, you really heard me?
I'm kind of the same way. I surround myself with people that are very similar to me in the aspect of, being traumatized or coming from a bad family, or just anything that, people struggle with. I surround myself with people that struggle so that I feel like I'm helping them. And also, because normal people are boring. I'm sorry if you're normal, but you're probably boring.
He's very blunt.
Yes. But, like, I have friends that'll like mention, like, randomly in a conversation, one of my friends will mention, oh yeah, I really like this food, and then, like, specifically I had this one friend that was like, oh my gosh, I always wanted to try this specific baked good, and I was like, okay, cool. And then, like, 2 days later I show up to school and I have it, I'm like, here you go. And now it's my go-to thing to make, blondies. I had wanted to make them for a while because I had seen my foster brother at the time make them. That's not important. But I always try and, be the person that observes and remembers. Like, my boyfriend, my white boy, I love him dearly, but Jesus Christ, that man does not, like, he doesn't, like, his concept of, oh my gosh, I want to know so much about you. Here's my name and my favorite color. What else do I tell you? But, I like to listen and, try and be like, I really care, because I really do care. I love him dearly. But Jamisha will ask, oh yeah, what would he like for this? I don't know. Bro, give me something to go off of. But I was, back to the shampoo thing. That's where, I came into the picture. I was at said mental hospital, and whenever the girls on the unit would be like, we need shampoo, well, one of the staff would go and buy a big bottle of the cheapest shampoo they could find, and then everyone that didn't have their own personal stuff had to use that, and it ran out quick, and then we never got more again. It sucked. But then Jamisha came around, and she was constantly getting stuff for us and treating us like human beings. And it's really important to have those people in, situations that are like that. Like, when there's so many kids on one unit and there's only so many staff, it feels like for those 6 months that I was there, I hardly ever felt like I was heard by anyone, and I felt like I was never known by anyone. I mean, obviously, like, I have my things. If you know me, you know about My Chemical Romance. But, like, other than that, nobody ever really bothered to get to know us other than, Jamisha and a couple other staff that I got close with. And it's important to be that person for someone, and it's important to have that person for everyone.
I feel like that gets missed out on a lot, especially in a facility where the idea is to cut costs and to keep money, but it's got to be hurtful to know, one, you're in a mental hospital, two, a lot of those kids are abandoned there, and three, like, you have other kids who are getting these big care packages, so to speak, from their parents, or they've got all this really nice stuff, and you're like, yeah, I've got a little tube of toothpaste because that's what they gave me today. And so for me, it was just again, I see you and I hear you. And so, like, it wasn't, at some point in time, the director even pulled me into this office, like, what are you doing? We don't want you to spend your money. We want you to get credit for it. I don't need the credit. I don't want the credit. What I want are for these kids to feel seen and loved. And it's amazing how, again, these untold stories made them feel so unseen and loved. Like, there were so many girls on that unit who were just like, wait, I get my own? Wait, you're going to just sit here and talk to me? Wait, you just want to spend time with me? In the most simplest of forms. Oh, wait, your story's like mine? Yeah, my story's like yours. And if you could, you take me home? In a heartbeat. And I don't think people get to hear that enough because, again, there's these stories that they're not expected to tell, or in a facility, you're expected to tell it in a certain way. And all we care about is trauma, 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 trauma. This is how you should get over your trauma. this is what you should do, and then your trauma should go away. That's unrealistic.
In the facility, sorry.
Go ahead.
In the facility, it was very much, I was one of those kids that was like, you actually remember that I said this to you? Or, oh my gosh, you actually are willing to share that you had a story like mine in any sort of way? And, any single staff that would ever pay a small molecule of attention to any of us, we would all feel like so much more cared for than we should have at the small amount of attention that we got. Because on average, there was 20 plus girls on that unit at all times. I was there for 6 months, seeing people come and go. And since there was so many of us, it was just a constant, there's people that are being obviously favored, and then there's the people that are being obviously targeted. When a bunch of those kids, including me, a handful of us had state insurance, whether it be because of foster care, whatever. Those kids were the hardest, they would not let those kids with state insurance go forward in their progress. It was horrible, and it was like, I'm already struggling with being in foster care because I know I don't have anywhere to go after I leave. And now it's like, you're keeping me here longer. I don't even know if I want to leave at this point. And it's just a struggle. And to have someone like Jamisha in that situation was what really saved me, and especially knowing that she cared enough to actually take me home and continue to care about me, and not just have me be in her home and be like, okay, well, now I've just got to prepare you to be an adult and you're gone. That's what a lot of foster homes do with teenagers. They teach you how to drive, they teach you how to pay your taxes and all of that, and then they ditch you. It's like, I know that no matter what, I have a family.
Yeah, I think that's the difference on Untold Stories. I think when you're willing to share your hurt and your trauma and your fears, all the things that we are taught to keep inside because people take advantage of them, I think there's a way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And at that job, I thought I was doing it the right way. And judging by the way that the kids responded to me, I wasn't a big fan of holds. I didn't have a lot of kids I had to put into holds. Kids were just like, I'm going to crash out. You either come talk to me or I'm going to crash out. Great. Let me go talk to this kid. We're going to work that out. And that's usually how it went. Because the days that I was there was a lot less fights and arguments because everyone was just like, we're just going to go talk to Miss Jamisha and we're just going to be done with it. She's going to listen when we talk. I'm going to say hey, this person's pissing me off. Keep them away from me. And I'm going to say, I'll do my best to make sure you guys stay in different halls. And we did just that because common sense says let's avoid the problems. But I can't do that if you don't give me your story behind it. And these kids were willing to share their stories if you were willing to listen. The problem is that I found was that if I tell you, hey, I feel like self-harming today, our first reaction from many of the staff was, oh my gosh, blue scrubbing you, putting you on secure, you're on a 72-hour watch, it could be longer. Right, but I wasn't going to actually hurt myself. I was just letting you know the thoughts are there. And I feel like people couldn't discern from when there was just a thought versus when it was an action. I would love for you to come and be like, hey, these things are on my mind, but because I'm talking to you about it, I know I'm not going to act on it. Versus, I can't tell you because the minute I tell you, you're going to use it against me. And that's what happened. So being able to have the ability to open up and share your story and then to be able to listen to somebody's story, to me, makes a huge difference.
I think another part of that kind of, I didn't think about it this way until they were talking, but so often as adults, we want to be like, oh, we're gonna gloss over the roughest parts of our adolescence. And we're like, oh, I would never do that. And I am a very experimental person in pretty much all aspects of my life. I've done a lot of drugs. I've had issues with it. I've yada yada yada. But I can talk about it. Be like, yeah, no, I know what it's like to, have a bad trip or to get way too messed up and lose control. Like, I understand those things. And instead of being like, oh, you shouldn't do drugs, like, oh, well, if you're like, these are the things, talk about these are the things that happen, or these are the ways to do it safely, or this is how it can be fun and interesting, but these are the pitfalls. Like, I can have those conversations and still be an adult and a role model and say, hey, yeah, I tried it when I was younger, but these are the things I wish I had done or hadn't done, or different things. But so often, so many people are like, they'll like try stuff and then they'll be like, oh, I'll never talk about that again. We'll pretend it didn't happen. And like that false narrative shows through. Like, everybody's done something, and if you can't admit to it, then you're just glossing it all over. And being able to have those type of conversations, especially in a mental institution, guess what? A lot of the kids there are there because of drugs. If all your staff is there, it's like, oh yeah, I've never done drugs. How well are those kids able to relate or to trust you? Like, how can you understand their problems if you can't be like, yeah, I can understand that just to this extent? Like, but that's another kind of untold story where you're just hiding parts of yourselves or pretending those parts of you never existed when they did.
My reason of being there was because I had been charged with something. This was my 24th stay in a mental institution of any kind. But this time I had been brought in because I had kept fighting people, so in my court case they got a court order for me to be there because they were tired of me. That's how foster care works. They get tired of you, they ship you off somewhere. And I have done many drugs, and there's like, so many of the staff would call me the therapist of the unit or whatever, because even if I didn't, like you, like, I did not like a bunch of these kids, but, if they were struggling, I would still be like, hey, what's wrong? And they'd tell me, like, hey, I understand, I've had this is how I got over it, tell me your specific coping skills and I'll help you learn new ones, because I cared, and there was not a lot of staff that actually cared enough to be like, hey, you're struggling, what's wrong? How do you need help? It's always just, you're struggling, do you need a PRN? Do you need to, like, use your coping skills? But you're not teaching me any coping skills, and if you do teach me one, I can't use it here.
Right. Oh, well, go outside. I can't just walk outside, so...
I can't walk outside. When I do walk outside, it's concrete floor encased by 4 concrete walls. Except one of them was... Either way, it was, like, the constant...
Don't hold hands!
There was this one girl. I am going to drop her name because I love her dearly. Khalees. I miss you, come home.
Silly N-word.
I miss her so much. But whenever she would start having these breakdowns, there's only so many ways that you could help her. My way of helping her, which I found the most helpful, was whenever she would start crying, I would sit down on the floor with her, let her cry, and then when she felt like talking about it, or even if she didn't, I'd be like, hey, do you want to talk about it? Yes or no? If she does, let me talk about it. If not, I would hold her hand and we would walk up and down the halls. And we would get yelled at for, oh, that's overstepping boundaries. You can't hold hands. Or, oh, get out of this hallway. We got yelled at for being in a hallway. On so many occasions, because it's not your hallway, because that's not where your room is. Like, they give you these coping skills that you can't use, or, they force these coping skills onto you that don't work for you. And it's just a horrible way to think of mental health. The reason that I was the unit therapist or whatever, and so many staff were like, oh, you'd be a great therapist. I am going into that field. I would like to be a psych nurse for adolescents in inpatient treatment. They were like, oh my gosh, you're the unit therapist, blah, blah, blah. Because I actually bother to learn about how people's brains work. Like, my friend Yo-Yo, love him dearly, Yo-Yo come home, he struggled with shutting down, so I learned, the way his brain works, and I learned the way to get him to talk, even if it's just about something stupid, like stickers or whatever, and it's just, these places would be so much more beneficial to the kids that are there, or the adults that are there, if they were trying to learn about not just the overall cure or whatever to their mental health issues. It's that individual person, what helps you, and what is a healthy alternative to the harmful things that help you, and so on and so forth. That's my tangent.
So then, would you say that you ever felt misunderstood because people didn't know your story?
Yes, and even when people did know my story, they made so many assumptions about it. But the people that didn't know my story, they look at me and, oh, the emo kid with the scars on their arm, or, oh, they assume so many things just based on appearances or just based on the way I act. I mask a lot. I've been constantly told, oh, you don't have autism. I only recently got diagnosed, like a month ago, maybe 2. But it's just the constant masking makes people assume that I'm okay or that I don't belong here, or just because all the scars of my self-harm have been healed over that I don't struggle anymore. I struggle every day. It's hard to be a functional person. And when people don't know my story, they assume things about me. And then when I tell them my story, they assume things about these parts of my life. And they're like, oh, you did fentanyl? You're a bad person. Sorry, man. Like, foster care sucks.
What about you, Jason?
For me, a lot of it's just because I had to build my personality piece by piece. For the longest time, I just felt like when I used to go to work. When I first met Jamisha, my coworkers would literally describe me as a robot. Yeah, he's a robot. He doesn't have any feelings. And that's because I'm super task oriented. Hey, you go in. You got to do this job. Cool. I'm getting that job done. I don't I would talk and joke, but I would never stop working. And and then you just get that kind of reputation. People just assume you're one thing, and it's like, I'm so much more than just that. But because you only see me in this one environment, you just assume that's everything, and it's just a fraction. And so, yeah, that's a lot of what it is for me. Is just, especially in work environment, me outside of work is way different than me.
Very much so. I personally, in most environments, I'm the exact same. I hide parts of myself enough in public that when you actually get to know me, I'm way different. Like, in public, I'm awkward and I'm shy. I don't know if you could tell by the very first episode. But I'm... Not at all, no. But I'm awkward and I'm shy, but then when you get to know me, I'll, totally just dump everything about this thing that I like, and you're like, whoa, man. Or I'll make jokes that... Whoa, man. I'm a very different person when you get to know me, but I still let those big parts of myself that I think shouldn't be as hidden as people think they should be. I always try and let those parts of myself show, like with the way I express myself with my fashion, or the way that I don't hide my scars. I don't know. I try and be a person that isn't just trying to fit in. How about you?
I cannot relate. I am who I am, where I am, all the time.
This is true.
And it's not even, I can't even say I am a more reserved version of me. I am literally me all the time. So what would make me cry here in my house? I've cried about several times in work in front of one of my clients, where they're like, Mr. Misha, are you okay? Nope, Mr. Misha needs a minute. I'm not going to teach you something that I don't do. So I know that there are times that my emotions are going to bubble over. I'm going to get upset. I'm the quickest to use myself as an example. Yeah, sometimes we get angry, like I did at my coworker, but I can't just punch her in the face. Neither can you. But Teresa, no, I get it. So I feel, in my case, it's less of a misunderstood because they don't know my story, and more that they don't know me. I'm not the kind of person that trauma dumps. So I don't walk up to you and like, so by the way, when I was 3, this is what happened. But if you ask me, I don't hide it either. So for the most part, you see this really upbeat, outgoing person who just happens to like pens and notebooks.
We've talked about this today. What would you do if I ever said I was gonna sell my pens? You're going to the psych ward.
Or I'm calling the cops because you got kidnapped.
Like, that's not, did you get cloned? Did aliens, like, abduct you or something? That's not Janisha.
So I will say one of the biggest changes for me as a parent is I now am much more outspoken about being on the spectrum, about having ADHD, about being bisexual and experimenting in college, because some of my kids have those things, and the more normalized I can make it with me, who is a relatively successful old white dude. I mean, I'm not like the greatest thing ever, but I'm still here and I'm still chugging along. It makes it 0.0001% easier for one of my kids one day, and that's worth everything to me. So it makes it a lot easier to just be out there like, yeah, I'm a big old goofball. Oh yeah, it is what it is, but it's awesome.
So with that, what is the hardest part of sharing your experience?
So a lot of times when I'm sharing my experience, I am sharing it with people who are not. So like, because I was the golden child, I still have a very, very big ego. I don't have, right. So I don't have that, like, that lack of an ego that a lot of people who have been traumatized as children have. And for me, like, that's really hard because it seems so unfair to me that I see these people who are so amazing in their own ways, and they, no matter, there's always going to be some part of them that is just like, I'm not enough because of that, but I didn't get that. I got a bunch of other stuff, but I didn't get that part of it, and that always just makes me feel so like life's so unfair. Like, if I could just put my eyeballs in your head for an hour, we could fix all that. Well, I can't see now, so whatever.
That's what I'm saying. The person wouldn't be able to see.
But I mean,
I get glasses.
Right, here you go. So, but like for me, that's like the hardest part because so many people just the lack of confidence in themselves on a fundamental level just hurts my soul so much.
Is it difficult having to share your Untold story?
For me, it used to be. But one thing that, over time being in the mental hospital so many times from, the age of 12 to the age of now 16, I originally was so ashamed of having these struggles because of the way that my biological family had treated my struggles. I was told I was faking. I was told that I should just be happy. I should, not tell people about how I feel. So I got into the habit of, I just shouldn't tell people that I'm struggling. So, like, even now it's hard for me to admit that I have struggles. But I do, because I learned that when other people admitted their struggles, it helped me. So then I wanted to be that person, and I wanted to help people. One thing that really, really, changed my view on how much I was sharing my story, which at that point I was sharing my story a lot. But I have this one friend, and she told me that when she saw how confident I was about sharing my problems and, my experiences and all of these things that I've struggled with, when she saw that I was confident about that enough to share it with these strangers that I've only known for a few days, then it made her feel more, comfortable being allowed to share those struggles or just being allowed to feel those struggles.
So I think the part that's the hardest for me is I think people weren't going to believe me. And I think the basis of me thinking that is because I don't believe me. And that sounds weird, right? Like, how do you go through trauma and then not believe you went through trauma? And the perfect example I can give is, if you were to tell me today that some parent thought it was okay to take Viz and beat him with a belt, I would tell you that's abuse. There's no reason on God's green earth you should be picking up a belt and hitting a child with, or anybody, but a child with. That's abuse. Was I spanked as a child? Yes. Was I spanked with the belt? Yes. Was I abused? No. What's the difference? It's wrong when it happened to him. Well, so why isn't it wrong? Well, because that was the time period back then. Because I did this when I caused that to happen. Like, I can come up with a plethora of excuses on why that isn't a bad situation for me and I deserved it, but why it would be inappropriate for any other child on this planet. It's hard for me to believe that the things that happened to me were bad versus, well, I had them coming. I probably deserved it.
Also struggle with that. Like, I know logically that, you know, I'm in foster care because my biological father abandoned me in an ER after I had attempted to end my own life. I believed for so long, and I still, in this, like, small part of my soul that's a lot larger than I let myself believe, that it was my fault. That I should have just stopped telling him that I had these struggles, and I should have stopped freaking out about it. And, I still constantly am like, but what if I'm faking it? Like, yeah, you know, I've been struggling with it for years, but what if I'm just faking it and I don't know? But, then I'll look back on my trauma and like, yeah, it's bad. But, I deserved it this way. Or, he had his reasons because of this. But logically, I know it's still not okay. But I still constantly try and reassure myself that it was my fault some way.
It's crazy how trauma can trick your brain that way. So for me, I have made attempts on my own life. My form is always pills. But then it's the question of, are you doing it because you really don't want to be here, or are you just wanting the attention? Like, there are times I've done it and I haven't even told anybody I was doing it, and still question, well, are you hoping that someone saves you? Are you hoping that someone finds you? There's always that thought of, this isn't true. What you're feeling is not what you're feeling. You think that you feel this way, and then you have to question everything about it. I suffer from OCD, anxiety, and bipolar. It is so easy to question every thought in my head and every feeling that I think I have. So when I say in the last podcast that the thing that I would have the hardest time talking about is intimacy and love, it's because if you ask me in a given day, do I love people? Yes. What does love mean?
I'll get back to you on that.
Pause, please. Doesn't want to work sometimes. I don't know what you were hoping we would ask you about.
I had words in my brain. I've always tried to convince myself. I've also made multiple attempts on my own life, and I say that I've only attempted 11 times, but it's been much more than that. I stopped counting after 11, which I guess that's a sad statement, but I say a lot of things, and the people are like, that's really sad, but it's just a part of my life. People will be like, oh my gosh, how are you still standing? I don't know. Life is life. Life's a bitch, and then you die. I just keep going.
And I think trauma does that, right? Like, for some people, for those that are blessed or favored or whatever they want to call it, it's oh my gosh, this bad thing happened and it's really bad. And then there's people like Viz and I who are like, yeah, it happened. And I also got coffee yesterday. So
right, like,
it was delicious.
Right, like, yeah. Well, but also, like, I got to pet this stray cat on the street.
Right.
Wait, I should bring in Brian.
Speaking of which, super random question for you guys. When you see someone walking on the street and they have a pet,
oh my god,
what do you do? So I was watching this TikTok and it was a reenactment of something, and it made me realize just how bad of humans we are. Because if you're anything like any of us, we stop and we pet the dog. Oh my god, you're so cute, how are you doing? And then we look dead in the face of the human and we go, hey, what's your dog's name? Not, hi, how are you? What's your name? Fuck you. What's your dog's name?
I don't care about you. I came up to you for the dog. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, how are you? No, how's your dog doing? Let me know everything about this dog. I will go buy its favorite food right now.
If y'all see me walking a dog, talk to the dogs. I don't want to know you.
Right, like exactly. Like if I happened to be walking Nova and Harley and people came up to me, don't talk to me. Talk to the dogs. They love you.
I'm not that. I'm very sociable. But I also grew up with a grandmother who would go to the gas station and end up there for an hour because she was talking to the next person pumping their gas. And we would have to remind her, like, this is supposed to be a convenience. You're supposed to go get gas and leave. It's not supposed to be a place you stay for hours. And her excuse was always like, oh, but I'm talking, and these are my friends. You don't know them. My grandmother was also the person who would go to Chuck E. Cheese by herself. Why? Because the people who worked there were her friends. Not like her actual friends. She met them because she went to Chuck E. Cheese, and then they became friends, and she would go back and visit them.
It's like you.
Yeah.
Clocked.
Okay. Thanks. I felt called out. Anywho, so then what would you hope that people take away from our conversations?
You know, I hope that people take away that it's okay to reach out for help, and it's okay to need help. It's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to struggle and realize that you're struggling and not just shove it down and pretend that you're okay, because that just makes everything worse. I do that. I still do that. I'll still, I'll get mad and I'll just, I'll get mad and I'll shove it down, and then I get mad again and I'll shove it down, and then somebody looks at me wrong and I punch him in the face. It's usually Jason.
Yeah, it's because I always look wrong. I don't know why. It must be the beard.
You just piss me off. It's just your presence.
You know what? It's better to be pissed off than pissed on. See? Violence is bad, yo. A shark attack! See, this is where Sharknado came from.
It's me. I was the star. No, but that's the thing. It's like, I'm wearing a shark onesie and talking about my trauma. Like, I like to try and make it seem like, yeah, we're struggling, but we might be going to hell, but we're gonna party our way down. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to have these issues, and it's also okay to normalize talking about them. It's okay to normalize having them. I talk about my trauma, and I'll, randomly say something about it, and someone's like, oh my gosh, that's so sad, are you okay? Yeah, that's just life, and I need people to realize that, yeah, it's not just life, but it's okay to let it be a part of your life. It's okay to let it be something that you're open to talking about. It's okay if, you want to talk about it. You should be able to. And you should be able to be silly about it, too.
I was going to say that, but I think that what I want people to take most from our conversations is that sometimes conversations are hard. They're unpleasant. They feel difficult. They feel like they're mean and they're loud. But they don't have to always be mean and they're loud. So we are great at going from, oh my God, I hate you, I slammed the door and punched all the walls. I didn't say names. Don't.
You know damn.
I knew, but they didn't.
They knew.
And we go from that to a very tense conversation where we're sitting down, we're like, "Urgh, urgh, urgh." And then all of a sudden it's and we're singing to each other in our anger, like, Jason, you pissed me off.
Never do that again. He will. He definitely will. And he's getting decked in the face next time.
But it's okay to be. Only if you didn't do it right. If you did it right, they knocked out and they didn't get back up. So, I would say that what I want people to learn is it's okay to have hard conversations as well as fun conversations. The best example I could give is
this entire conversation.
Jason and I fostered before. We fostered previously. And I had a kiddo come to me and was like, well, I'm bi. Great, more power to you. That means, I don't want to say it doesn't mean anything to me, but it doesn't mean anything to me. You are who you are. Live life. Consentingly. And they asked, well, would you let me have a sleepover in my room? Well, no, because if you told me you liked boys, boys wouldn't be allowed to sleep in your room. And if you told me you like girls, girls wouldn't be allowed to sleep in your room. It's not appropriate. And they're like, well, I hear you, and I understand what you're saying. Would you mind if we had a sleepover in the living room? And I think most parents would have just automatically cut it off. They would have just said no, versus they...
Bro, you let me and my boyfriend sleep in the same room all the time.
We do not.
They don't.
Are you trying to tell us something?
You're grounded.
I think I might have a crush on this dude.
He is lying to you. His boyfriend lives many hours away. He does not sleep in his room. But again, it would be... He would have that conversation like, hey, what are your guys' thoughts on that? And we would say, like, we don't have a problem with them sleeping over, but it's not appropriate for you guys to share a room. And that's how we would go about that. It'd be a conversation. It wouldn't just be a, no. Okay, let them sleep over. We have an extra room. We have a living room. We have a couch. We can make it work. But everything doesn't need to be a, because I told you so.
So, for me, I hope you get a few smiles, maybe some laughs, and hopefully you can take something away that improves the quality of your life in some way, shape, or form. Pretty simple.
So what would you say is the difference between healing and surviving?
For me, when I was young, I was surviving. My parents were all alcoholics, and one was an addict, and I would have to take care of and protect the family and drive my dad because he had too many UIs, and so like it was a day to day just getting through today. Cool. Now I'm going to go hide from everything in the world and just live in my own world. I played pool downstairs in the basement whenever I could. I'd just hide down there for like 10, 12 hours straight. Wouldn't talk to anybody. And then I learned how to change parts of my personality to be something I like more. And the more I did that, the more I moved on from I'm just going to get through today and I can't wait for tomorrow. I've got this going on. I got to do this. I want to do that. I want to try this. And then I eventually got to going around and trying to be around people who are significantly different than me, so I could find whole different new avenues of things to try that I wouldn't have even ever thought of. Like spicy foods.
You mean seasonings?
Yeah. Seasonings. Ugh. So anyway.
Let me season this chicken with some water.
Listen, Linda.
Listen, man.
Tuna mac.
Okay, tuna mac is delicious.
I'll pass.
We know. So sad.
How about you, Viz? Surviving versus healing?
Thank you. I feel like, even today I'm in survival mode. We can all tell. I know. I've been in survival mode every single day for the past 16 years. Because that's how I was raised, that's how life goes. And so when I was just surviving, it was just, I just gotta get to the end of the day, and then it'll be tomorrow, and then, it'll be Friday, and then it's the weekend, and then I have to do things on Monday, but then I can get to Friday. And it's just a constant going day to day, barely making it, and just waiting until you can fall asleep so that you don't have to feel anything. But, healing, I've worked to change, and I've worked to try and be like, man, today sucked. I don't want to feel like, man, today sucked. I can't wait to go to sleep. I'll be like, man, today was ass. But I saw a pretty flower on the side of the road. Trying to find ways to feel like life isn't as bleak and horrible as it truly is. Because there is good things. And I feel like healing is learning to accept that not everything is as horrible as it seems, and it's okay to enjoy things.
I think surviving means that you live through it. So think of it, I am an ID channel person. Guys, bear with me. Think about being kidnapped and then being saved. You live through that. You survived the kidnapping, right? Healing means that you survived the kidnapping, but you're not afraid to still go out and take care of things. So for me, I have lived through things that are painful, that are upsetting, that are traumatic. But I'm able to still do the things that I want to do in those avenues because I've healed. So for me, it's traumatic being a foster parent. It's really hard to bring in kids and love on them. And when I love on them, I love on them. I love hard. Knowing that at any given time they could be like, all right, we're gonna move this kid back to this place. Oh, but that's my kid. Like that's, well, no, they were your borrowed kid. Well, yeah, but it's still my kid. And yet, although I know it hurts and it's gonna make me cry every time,
And
I learned to heal. I learned that, it's okay. It's okay that I'm hurting. It's okay that I'm mourning that loss. It is sad. It is hard, but I can also get through it. So for me, those are the differences between surviving and healing. If you had to give someone advice on carrying an untold story,
these untold stories, find someone you feel safe talking about it with, and find ways to accept that it happened and not move on and just forget about it, but accept that it happened, let it be a part of you, and don't let it control how you feel, Find a way to get it out of your brain and even just onto paper. Like, just write it down if it helps. Just find a way to get it out of your brain so that it's not so untold anymore. And, work through it, I guess. I'm not good at words.
For me, like, untold stories come in two forms. The first form is they're protecting somebody who's doing something wrong, and I think as a nation, we need to start talking more openly about the bad things, like, I mean, not to get too outrageous with all this, but like the Epstein files. It's absolutely insane to me that the victim names are openly out there all over the internet, and yet the perpetrators' names are blacked out. Like, no. We need to talk about all of it. We need to talk about the victims and get them the therapy and that they need. We need to talk about the perpetrators and get them the judicial sentences that they need. But instead of making this big gold secret scandal, I mean, and it's not just the Epstein files. It's it's open knowledge to anybody who cares to look that almost any type of crime you look at, if you've got enough money, your victims, you get away with it. If you don't have money and you're a victim, you're SOL. And but the more we can talk about those stories, like, the more we talk about bad things, the more stigmatized they get, the more open they get, the more out in the open, the less they happen. Like, my favorite anecdote is if you go back and watch Gone with the Wind. It's one of the most romantic movies in history, right? The scene where Scarlett falls in love with Red, he raped her. Period. Flat out. And in the 50s, that was considered romantic. Now, most people who watch that thing would say, yeah, that's disgusting. He needs to go to jail. And those type of changes happen when we start to talk more. So that's the first type of untold story. The other type of untold story is I'm afraid to talk about it because I don't know if I'll be accepted for it. As an example of that, I'm a huge nerd. Trekkie, Star Wars, Legos, video games, all that stuff.
Stupid toaster.
Damn straight, that stupid toaster. But when I was younger, I was afraid of telling anybody that because I didn't want, I didn't want to be picked on. I didn't want to be made fun of. I didn't want to be ostracized. You weren't allowed to be a nerd. And, I was, and I got lucky that I figured out, hey, at a youngish age, that I'd rather be dorky and nerdy and show all that and find people who like those things, and knowing that people are going to make fun of me by saying, screw your toaster, or God, you're such a dork, or people tell me all the time, you try too hard. Yes, I do. And I'm okay with that.
I'm not shaming. I am shaming you for the toaster, but I'm not shaming you for being a nerd. The toaster is just stupid and annoying.
It's awesome!
It's an R2-D2 toaster. I had to make toast in a pan because I was too angry at that thing. It beeps at me. I'm like, No.
Yes, that's right.
It's 5 in the morning. I just came back inside. I don't. Get him out of here!
So for me, I would say share it. Let some of the burden of carrying it alone shed. So I was thinking of another analogy as I was sitting here that I share with people, and it's the stubbing your toe story, right? So you're walking around and you stub your toe, and it hurts. And most of us, when we stub our toe, yell out some type of obscenity. Fuck! Ow! That hurt! Right? We instantly share it. People instantly know we stubbed our toe. So, we survived it. But then we also heal, because how many of us stopped walking because we stubbed our toe? Chances are we're going to start our toe in the exact same place we did the last time. We didn't move the furniture. We didn't stop walking. We were like, it feels better. We're going to go on about our life. Trauma is so much like stubbing your toe. No one's saying that you have to forget that you stubbed your toe. No one's saying that it didn't hurt that you stubbed your toe. We're just saying don't stop walking because of it.
Okay. There's context to that piece. I just yawned. I yawned because
I got flippers. Sorry.
I guess I'm hoping that people hear this story and they hear us talking and they see that the things that hurt and scare them the most are probably the things that you should most talk about. If you're afraid to tell your parents that you're coming out, it's because it's a conversation that needs to be had. If you're afraid to tell your family that you're being hurt, it's because it's a conversation you need to have. If you're afraid to tell your partner that you are in love with someone else, it's because it's a conversation you need to have. Like, these are conversations. It's the ones that hurt and the ones that scare you the most that are probably the most... Are you wearing your foot socks? Are the most important to have.
How did you know?
You are, aren't you?
Yes.
That's what took you so long. Lord. Anyways, what's one thing you hope families take or start talking about?
I don't necessarily think it's a thing. It's just a way. Like, you can have deep conversations without them having to be heavy conversations. And you're as a family a lot more likely to have those conversations if they're not always heavy. And especially for the way I was raised, like, if it was a serious conversation, it was, all right, come here, sit down, we need to have a talk. And then you would dive into whatever it was, and it was almost never something you wanted to talk about. And like like half our serious conversations are us being all goofballs. But just because we're laughing and having fun doesn't mean it's not a serious conversation. Doesn't mean we're not taking it seriously.
I'm a big fan of you can't be upset over tacos. So if you have to break bad news to me, the least you could do is buy me tacos.
I hope that families, after, taking into consideration our points.
Fireworks. Go.
Oh. I thought someone was knocking.
Oh, the window. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry. Fireworks in Happy America. Boo. But I hope that families start to talk about everything and anything. Like, Jamisha, oh, she knows everything. Everything. They don't want to know, but they know. Because, that's what a family should be. I'm comfortable telling you about this. I'm comfortable saying, oh yeah, that's what I like.
And I would prefer that. Like, Jason and Viz obviously have their own issues. That there are times that they don't get along. But I also know that if Viz storms out of the house upset, Jason's going to chase after him. And it may take Viz a while, but at some point Viz is going to be like, okay, this is what the problem is. Like, even with Viz being adamantly against Jason sometimes, I think even Viz recognizes that if he needed help, he can go to Jason and ask. And Jason's going to be there. But that's because we've established in our communication, like, hey, I may not show up the way that you need me to all the time, but in the moments that you really need me, I'm there. You can't do that if you're not communicating. So, as an ending to our segment, for our podcast today. I want you guys to share an answer to this statement. My untold story has taught me.
My untold story has taught me how to live life and enjoy it at the same time. I'm on the edge of glory. Sorry. I'm waiting on.
I'll shut up. Anyway, my untold story has taught me a lot of things. So many things. A lot of them not so good. Like, I've been taught by my story that speaking out about certain things, nothing gets done. No one really cares as much as they should, but there are people that care. And I've also been taught that by my story. You know, I've been taught so many things, but the good things are what makes me who I am. You know, like, I'm okay talking about my trauma. I'm okay, you know, just letting it be. And it's taught me that no matter what happens, I'm gonna keep going. You know, like, as many times as I've tried not to, I'm gonna keep going, you know? Because there's always gonna be something good ahead of you know? Even if it's just as simple as, I got a giant rainbow lollipop at Walmart and a pinwheel hat. That would be pretty awesome. No, Jimmy, shut up!
What?
Next episode, you're gonna see me with a giant rainbow lollipop and a pinwheel hat.
So my untold trauma has taught me to overcompensate. It has taught me to be extremely independent. It's taught me to walk away before I get hurt. I would say it was also taught me to love with my whole heart. I don't know how to give small pieces of me. I don't know how to not dive in. It has taught me to see past the current circumstance. I could have met Viz where he was and been like, thank you next, in the words of Ariana Grande. And I didn't, okay? I didn't thank you next him. I kept him. I brought him home like a stray cat. I was like, I can't see.
That's what we're doing with Brian.
To be fair, I do pet him sometimes. I tried to waterboard him the other day and he didn't like it. I also...
It's because you were talking weirdly.
There is nothing like... Okay, moms, hear me out. There is nothing like having your son lay over on the sink to wash the hair and stare at them in the eye as you slowly caress the shampoo out of their hair. Yes. There's something about that is so satisfying.
It's terrifying.
Satisfying. I've also learned... it's also taught me to be for someone who no one wants for me. So I may not have had the mom that I wanted or needed growing up. I'll be down if I don't give that to Viz. Which means I will always wash his hair in my sink.
And talk weirdly at me.
My precious.
I'm scared.
But he chose to be here. Don't let him fool you. In closing, I guess, does anyone have any last words? Oh, well, Sharknado is closed up for the night.
Thanks for coming on our journey with us. Catch you next time.
I would say, have your family answer some of the questions that we answered tonight. Ask them what they feel like they're keeping from you and what they need to share. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.